Having a second citizenship or even multiple citizenships is a very important diversification tool for anyone who wants to live the nomad capitalist lifestyle, who wants to have the option to keep more of their own money, live a life of freedom, and grow their money faster. And one of the things that we've talked about as a tool and as a strategy to have the best of all worlds is to create your own passport portfolio. So in this video, I'm going to share with you exactly what a passport portfolio is and how you can create your own. Hey guys, I'm Andrew Henderson, and if you'd like to learn how the Nomad Capitalist team can personally work with you to create your own holistic offshore plan, learn more at nomadcapitalist.com. So what exactly is a passport portfolio? It is basically what it sounds like. It is you're creating a portfolio of several different passports. We made a video where we asked how many passports is too many. For many people, their portfolio will be 2 or 3 or maybe 4. We don't want to get carried away in most cases, but it's having a portfolio. The same way you'd have a portfolio of stocks, you probably wouldn't hold just one company's stock. You'd have a diversified portfolio. And so this is based on the concept of having citizenship insurance. It's based on the concept, and a very important one, that you always want to have options. You never want to be a victim. A victim does not have options. You want to have different options. That includes with your citizenship. Now, there's different ways to play this. We've talked about Plan A, which is an active plan. For example, if you're a United States citizen and you're trading cryptocurrencies and there's really no way to effectively escape all the taxes and regulations without giving up that U.S. citizenship, well, you need a Plan A, because if you don't have any other passports besides the U.S. one, you have to go out and figure out what those other ones are, and you're probably going to need to get a couple different passports in many cases, unless you are part of the Lucky Sperm Club and you have some kind of ancestral passport from the UK or Austria or something. Most folks are going to need to go out, and they're not just going to want to lessen their passport status, because obviously the US passport's a good one, so they're going to want to go out and create a portfolio of passports to replace the one they have. On the other hand, you have Plan B. This is where, let's say you're Canadian or German or Australian. You don't plan on giving up that passport. You don't need to. By the way, many Americans we work with, they don't want to give up their U.S. passport, so you can be American also. No need to renounce your U.S. citizenship if you don't want to. But Plan B would be having other passports that complement your passport. And so there's a couple things that you want to keep in mind, things that a passport can offer. And so someone actually asked me recently, they said, Andrew, isn't it a hassle to renew all of your passports? And the answer is not particularly. Depends on where the countries are, depends on where you are living. But understand that a passport is a document given to citizens. Just because you don't renew your passport doesn't mean you lose your citizenship, okay? And so while it is ideal to keep the passports in your hand somewhere, having the citizenship and the ability to get a passport is also a good thing. It's far better than just sitting in being a citizen of one country. So what is a passport? What does a citizenship allow you to do? Well, number one, it allows you to live in that country, okay? So if you ever just want to leave your home country, or if your home country ever has a problem, or if something happens, you have the ability to leave and you have a place to go. Citizens are the only people that they can't reject. You can be a resident and they'll probably let you in, but who knows? They could cancel your residence permit. They can do whatever they want. But if you're a citizen, then you are guaranteed access to that country. And so if you want a place to live, if you want a backup plan, a lot of wealthy people have gone to New Zealand and are seeking New Zealand citizenship because they think it's a great backup plan. It's this developed country far away from it all, far away from the chaos of the world. You can find your own New Zealand and have a place that you can always go to. Obviously, the passport itself is a travel document, okay? Imagine, if you are American or Russian or Israeli or from any other country that gets into a skirmish with some other country, you may want another passport, or you may not have visa-free access to every country. Obviously, most Tier A passports, as we call them, like the US or EU passports, have pretty good travel privileges. But, if you're doing business in Russia or you want to go to Russia, that's going to be difficult. You might want a passport that gives you that, or China or Iran or whatever the case may be. There might be some travel gaps to fill in. And so These are some of the benefits of having different passports. It means multiple places you can go. That can be from a safety standpoint, it can be from a lifestyle standpoint, it can be from a tax planning standpoint, right? If you get a citizenship in Antigua or St. Kitts and Nevis or Vanuatu, you can live there and you can pay zero income tax. And so in a world where in many countries taxes are going up and tax compliance internationally is becoming more difficult, having a tax-free country to be a citizen of could come in handy. You can always live there and say, hey, I don't have to pay here. And so at Nomad Capitalist, we do focus on a couple main areas when we talk about a holistic offshore plan. The first area is your finances, and so that could involve, where are you banking? Certainly being a citizen of a country can make it easier to bank there if that's important to you. Generally not a huge issue, but that can help. It doesn't apply to all passports either. There's certainly some countries where if you're an economic citizen, they still may distance themselves from you, but in general, that can be easier. Tax planning, having other citizenships with favorable tax regimes can be helpful in making sure that wherever you live doesn't start to squeeze all of your money out of you. Certainly, regulations can be an issue. Again, we've worked with folks who are cryptocurrency investors. There are certain countries that don't like cryptocurrency, and they're going to impose a lot of regulations, namely the United States. You might choose to distance yourself from that and say, what do I want to be subject to these rules for? Other investors, U.S. citizens are subject to a lot of other things as well. And so other passports can facilitate better investments. There are certain countries that only let you invest in their country if you are a citizen. And so being a citizen can open up a lot of undervalued deals. And so to me, the benefit of a passport portfolio, there are a couple of benefits. Number one, you fill in travel gaps. Again, obviously, if you have a U.S. or a German or a British passport, there aren't that many gaps. We named Russia, we named China, there may be a few others. Certainly African countries are trying to get together and open up to each other. So if Africa is a place where you're doing business, obviously very visa unfriendly for most people in the world, maybe an African passport could come in handy. Number two is balancing out government issues. And so I remember one time calling a guy when I was a U.S. citizen. I said, hey, I'd like to be a citizen of Dominica potentially. I'm interested in starting that project. I ultimately abandoned Dominica and eventually did St. Lucia and others. But he said, why would you want to not be a U.S. citizen, one of the best citizenships in the world people want, and become a citizen of what he called a banana republic? And I thought to myself, being a citizen of a banana republic might be a great thing to have, right? Because if you're a U.S. citizen, and I think the EU and other countries might start to do this too with the way the world's going, maybe you want a country that says, you know what, we don't care what you do when you're not here. I'm not saying go out and murder people, but I'm saying, if you want to keep your money somewhere and you're doing everything legally and you're not hurting anybody, maybe you'd like a country that's not chasing you down around the world looking for money or regulating you or saying, we don't want our citizens trading cryptocurrencies or doing this or doing that. The U.S. has a lot of rules in particular on what you can do when you're overseas, and I think other countries will follow suit with more aggressive tax regimes. And so being a citizen of a so-called banana republic might be a nice balance, especially if your main citizenship is a country that is a bit more aggressive with its citizens or with its expats. And number three would be geopolitical balance. Again, if you're a citizen of a country that has a certain reputation in some places, having a second passport can help you do that. Perhaps there are some places you don't want to go as an American. For me, that was one of the things that, upon renouncing, it felt very nice to no longer, show the U.S. passport. It just wasn't something I identified with. Didn't want to be known as that guy. And so for me, it was nice to be able to go as someone else. And I realized that almost every country in the world, they don't care what passport you are. If it's visa-free, in you go. And so the portfolio that you want to create really depends on where you're from and what your objectives are. Again, if it's plan A, I want to get rid of my current citizenship, that's going to be a different plan. If you need to do that quickly, you're probably looking at some kind of citizenship by investment program as a base. I've had cryptocurrency guys where it makes a lot more sense for them just to throw away $100,000 than to invest $500,000 because the opportunity cost on that delta, that $400,000, is just far too much when they plan on making big money. I've also had a couple guys who are doing startups and they're just putting their capital back in and they just want to invest as little as possible, but they need a passport quickly to solve, let's say, a tax problem. And so for them, a citizenship by investment passport can make a lot of sense. There are passports that are less well known and less commoditized for people who have a little bit more time. And so you might start with the citizenship by investment just to get something done very quickly, and or then just add on some of these lesser known passports, like a fast track naturalization program, citizenship by descent, which in some cases, like in Italy, could take you a couple years depending on how you go at it. So, sometimes those passports aren't guaranteed, or they take a while through your ancestry. Depends on the country. You might choose to add on some what I call paper naturalization passports, where you just get residence, you spend a little bit of time there, but not too much. You come back in 3 years, take a history test, and get your passport, 5 years, what have you. So there are so many different opportunities out there. I've done everything from say, hey, go do these 3 residence programs. One of them probably won't work out, but you can come and swing through in a couple of years and pick up your 2 passports. Everything from, hey, make an investment in Europe, in a country you want to live in, like Portugal or Spain, and then just go and spend some time there. We do tax planning around that, and we can figure out a portfolio from there. So there are so many different options depending on the situation. Leave a comment below. Talk about which passports you'd like to pursue, which opportunities are interesting to you, how many passports you would want, and what situation you have makes this warranted. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to talk more about passport portfolio. So leave your comments below, and we'd love to hear from you. How can Nomad Capitalist help you? 4 ways. Number 1, subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to make sure you get our new video every day. Number 2, get a copy of Nomad Capitalist, the book. You'll learn a lot of my personal experiences over a dozen years of studying this stuff, as well as exactly some of the strategies that you can use to build your Nomad Capitalist plan. Number 3, if you're not sure where to start, but you want to come and learn from my team and I, you want to come and mingle with like-minded people, learn more about our live conference, Nomad Capitalist Live. It's coming up soon. And number 4, if you want some help right now because you've got a burning issue, you need something solved, you want to lower your taxes, get a second passport, or build the Nomad Capitalist lifestyle of your dreams, go to nomadcapitalist.com and click on Become a Client.